Hey, what up everybody? Lyndon Alvarez here for aetouch.com, and today we're going to be working on an old school film intro animation. But before we do that, let's go ahead and do some folder organizing. Yes, I said it, folder organizing. Not the funnest thing to do in the world, but if you're not doing something similar to what I'm about to do, please just bear with me for the next 2 to 3 minutes, and I assure you, you're going to save a lot more time in the future. So getting started, go ahead and don't ever buy Vista. It's just horrible. But open up the folder to where you're going to be saving your projects at. I'm going to right click and create a new folder. We're going to call this one folder organization. Just change that really quick so it appears at the top. Double click to open up, right click, create a new folder again. Go ahead, highlight it, Control C, then press Control V until you have 4 more copies, making 5 folders. The first one, we're going to call it audio. The second folder, we will call it footage. The third folder will be called projects. Fourth folder, renders. And fifth folder, last but not least, stills. And of course, depending on how you work, you can take away some folders or add folders. You can have, a folder for scripts, video references, storyboards, how to build a bomb, whatevs. It's just how you work. And go ahead and open up the projects folder. I'm going to create a new, you guessed it, folder. We're going to call this one AE for After Effects. I'll create another folder. I'm going to call this one PR for Premiere, assuming you're on the Adobe Suite. You could be using Final Cut, Sony Vegas, Avid, whatever. Just label accordingly. Right click, new folder, and I'm going to go ahead and call this one PS for Photoshop. So now that we got that, and we have our folder organization folder organized as to how we need it to be, go ahead and create a new folder again. I'm going to call this one Old School Intro. And yes, I'm aware that I'm spelling school wrong. It just looks cool, I guess. I don't know. But go back to this folder, double click, highlight everything, press Control C, go back to the Old School Intro folder, right click, paste, or press Control V, and voila, there you have it. And this is just, a good way to get started before you do a project. So whenever you input files and store them, you know where they're at and where all the projects are drawing them from, so you're not disorganized, which saves time. Okay, let's jump over to Photoshop and get started. I am aware that this is aetouch.com and not psdtouch.com, or is it? Go to aetouch.com, scroll over network, click on psdtouch, and voila, psdtouchplus.com. So even though this tutorial is going to be based in Photoshop heavily, essentially it's going to be an After Effects tutorial. Unless, of course, all you want is a single still image, then you can just call it a Photoshop tutorial and we can all be on our merry ways. So, go ahead and go over to File, New, make sure you're on Film and Video. NTSC DV looks good to me, 720 by 480. Click OK. I'll go ahead and make this disappear. I'm gonna enlarge this too really quick. Sorry, excuse me. I'm gonna go ahead, just click and hold, and go to the rounded rectangular tool. I'm just gonna wing it here. I'm gonna make the film projector body. It looks pretty good to me. Hit P for the pen tool. Actually create a new layer first. Right click, fill path. And right now it's at black. Actually, come over here to your color and let's just make it dark gray. What you can do is you can control select, click to go ahead and select all that. Press shift plus backspace and that'll bring up the fill option. Foreground color is good. Click OK and press Control D to deselect. And I'm gonna go ahead and label this body for the film projector body. Let's go to paths. Go ahead. I'm just gonna delete this so it's out over here. Create a new layer. And going back over here, I'm gonna go ahead and get the ellipse tool. Holding down shift to constrain the proportions. I'm just gonna slide it out so far. That looks good to me. Press P, right click, fill path. Let's go ahead and go foreground color since we already set up that color over there. That looks good. I'm going to delete that path. And then what I will do is I will duplicate this. Press Control T to transform. Now holding Shift and Alt, going to just drag it down a little bit. Also really quick, I'm going to press Control U so I can see it more. There we go. And that actually looks good. I'm going to Control select this, click back on that layer below, press Control X just to go ahead and delete that. And what I will do now is I'll just turn this back on. Control T, holding Shift and Alt, drag it down. I'm just gonna make like a little spindle in the center here. Check mark it. Control click in there. Shift backspace. Hit enter. It's gonna fill in the foreground color. And now what we want to do is go ahead. I think these two look fairly good. I'm just gonna go ahead and duplicate this for purposes later. Go ahead, we're just going to merge these together, recreating that first wheel. So we're going to call this wheel 1. Create a new layer, and what I'm going to do is select this tool right here, the rectangular marquee tool, and I'll just drag down like so. Shift backspace, once again hit enter so to fill in the foreground color. Control D to deselect. Press V for your pointer tool, or just click right here. Now press Control T to transform, and what you want to do actually is right click and go ahead and hit perspective, and then you can just slide that over to widen it. That looks good to me right there. Check mark it and go ahead and duplicate this. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Okay, so what I would do now is with that one selected, Control T, I'm just going to cock it to the side a little bit. And I'm just eyeballing this till it looks right. It's probably not going to be precise, but it'll still look cool. And that's what we're going for. And you know what? I'm actually just going to delete this one, duplicate this, edit, transform, flip horizontally. Drag it on over. Looks pretty good to me. I'm going to go ahead and Control E so I can merge these together. Okay, so I'll go ahead, Control T. I'm going to swing this around like so. Let me bring those back up for my reference. And yeah, to me that looks pretty good. So I'll go ahead and delete that one too. With this layer selected, press Edit, Transform, Flip horizontally. Okay, never mind, Control Z. Duplicate it first. Edit, Transform, Flip horizontally. I'm just going to drag over till it fits like so. Okay, so now everything's looking good. Looks like we've got a wheel going on here. Now, with that top one selected, Control E, and Control E, Control E. And there we go. Wheel 01 is good to go. Alright, so now on to wheel 2. Go ahead and hide this wheel 1. Unhide that one. I'm going to call this one wheel 2. Create a new layer above it. I'm going to scroll in. I'm going to go to the rectangular marquee tool, and at the top over here, so like what we did before, just make a little rectangle. Press Shift, backspace, enter to give you the foreground color. Control D to deselect. And I just want to go ahead and align this with the center of that image. So with both of them selected, just align to the center. I'll select this one again, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that. I'm going to press V for my what's it called again, the move tool, I believe. Yes. Click, holding shift. I'll just drag down. Looks good to me. I'll go ahead and press Control E. It's just going to merge them together. And now with both of them selected, I'll press Control T, holding shift 1, 2, hitting check mark. I'll go ahead and duplicate this again, and I'll press Control T, 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks good to me. Duplicate again, drag down there, Control T as well, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit check mark. That looks good to me. Now it's time with that top layer selected to merge everything. Control E, Control E, Control E. Bam, wheel 1 and wheel 2 is done. So now it's time to start putting everything into place. So grab that body, we'll drag it over here. Wheel 1, gonna want it over here. Wheel 2, I'm probably gonna put it somewhere on the top. Yeah, this looks cool. And nudge it over until everything looks cool as to how you want it, how I want it, more notably, since I'm working on mine. Right there, looks cool. Yeah, that looks cool. And I think I might want to make these two wheels just a little bit bigger for some reason. So I'll highlight them both, Control T, and just enlarge slightly. And a little bit. Yeah, it's cool. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to create some arms to attach these together. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new layer on top of all of this. And this right here is extremely hard. I mean, this is probably going to be the hardest part. So we'll zoom in, go back to that, marquee tool, rectangular marquee tool, and we'll connect it. Press Shift, Backspace, hit Enter, and there it is. I know, very hard, but it's got to get done before you can make any more progress. Because if they're not connected, the whole entire machine's going to fall apart and look janky, and we do not want that. So if both of them selected, we'll go ahead and align. Oh, wrong one. Wheel 2 and that arm. We'll align. It's into place. Drag that below. Hit Control E, and that is part of wheel 2. Actually, you know what? I lied. Do not connect them, because if you connect them, then when it ends up spinning in After Effects, you're gonna have that, and that's not good. That's janky, actually. So I'm just gonna go ahead and merge that with the body. To me, that makes sense. Let's not get too overly complicated over here. So let's go ahead and create one more arm. Just create a new layer. I'm gonna zoom in. Going to hit M for the rectangular marquee tool. Same principle. Shift, Backspace, hit Enter, Control D. Now with that layer and wheel 1 selected, let's go ahead and line like so, and we'll drag them all down. Every single last one of them. Okay, that looks cool to me. Doesn't look too bad at all, really. We'll merge that layer 1 with the body again. And it looks like we're getting some fringe over here. So quick remedy, we'll just create a new layer. Go back to the elliptical marquee tool. Click somewhere fairly in the center. Shift, Alt, drag out. It's going to make it a little bit bigger. Shift, Backspace, Enter, Control D to deselect. Click wheel 1. Go ahead, just line it up. And merge them, and voila, there we go. Actually, there's still a little bit more, so let me backtrack, make it just slightly more larger. That should work. Both of them selected, make sure they are aligned. Control E, and we're golden. Okay, now we need a lens, handle, and stand. Let me fix this really quick. So what we do is create a new tab, rectangular marquee tool, Shift backspace, enter, Control D. I'm probably going to say that a lot more times before this tutorial is over with. Duplicate. Go ahead and rotate this a little bit inwards. Same with this one. Let's see. Looks good to me. Just gonna merge them, create a new layer, marquee tool, select right in here. I won't say it actually. There we go. We've got ourselves a handle. We'll merge that with the body too. Let's go ahead and align it properly though. That doesn't make sense to me. Control Z. Looks good. Merge it. Yeah, it looks cool. Wait, no it doesn't. Okay, now it's cool. Alright, now we need to make a lens. New layer. I'm gonna go over here. Let's get something that's rounded. I'm gonna just poke it out like so. Pen tool, right click in the center, fill path, foreground color is cool. Go ahead and delete that path. And transform. And if you want to, create another layer. Create slight bulge. Okay, to me that looks good. Just merging everything to the body. New layer. I'm gonna go ahead and make a little handle coming out of it. The pen tool, going to click on the line, bring it out. To me that looks good. About right here. Wow, wow. Cool. Just connect them. Make selection. Okay. Control Shift I to select the inverse. And I'm going to press Shift backspace to fill. And then what I'm going to do actually is press Control Shift I to select, I guess that would be called the outverse. I don't know. Get the eraser tool and erase this little edge because we don't need that. Control D to deselect. And there we go. Alright, so I skipped forward a little bit because I'm sure there's only so much you all can take of me teaching you how to make basic shapes. I mean, it's got to be even a little boring and frustrating for noobs. This is how you make a circle, this is how you make a square, and then over there is how you make an octagon. Yeah, I just said that, and I'm probably going to let it slide. So now all we got to do is save our project the way we need it to be saved. So I'm going to hide the background and the first two wheels. File, save as. I'm going to navigate to where I'm saving everything. There we go. Old school intro. And then I'll go ahead and just save this on the stills since I'm going to save it as PNGs. So I'll save it as PNG and I'll call this camera body. Camera body. Sounds good to me. PNG file though, so you can save those alpha transparencies. And then go ahead, overall, just save the project, PSD, and then you can save that in your projects folder under PS for Photoshop. Film Projector. And now what I want to do is I'm going to highlight this, control click, and press control C, file, new, OK, edit, paste. Let's go ahead and delete that background. File, save as. Let's go to our stills, save it as a PNG. Call it wheel 02 wheel. And then we'll go back over here. We'll control click on wheel 1, control C. With the layer selected, control C, file, new, OK. Press control V, delete that background. File, save as, stills folder, of course, PNG, and then we'll just call this one wheel 01 and save. Alright, so now we are basically ready to get started in After Effects. Okay, now over in After Effects I've actually got an idea. Let's create a new folder. We'll call this one audio. Let's create another new folder. We'll call this one footage. Another folder, call it renders. Call this one stills. And then for the last one, we'll call this one comps. I'm going to go to file, save as. Go ahead and navigate to the folder where we made that photo organization one at. Go to projects, AE for After Effects. I'm just going to overwrite that. But yeah, there you go. Now you got a blank project for whenever you start in there and you copy and paste. So I'm just going to go ahead, file, save as, school intro, projects, AE for After Effects. Call this film Projector. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and import those stills that we saved. So just navigate to the folder really quick. Projects, PS for Photoshop. No, that's right, we saved them under stills. So we'll just import all of these into the stills folder. Good to go. Composition, new comp. We're going to call this comp main. And then we'll go ahead and make the duration 10 seconds. NTSC DV 720 by 480. Click OK. And let's go ahead and create layer, new, solids. I'm going to go ahead and make this an off-white color. Select OK. Layer, new, solid. We'll make this one a dark gray, even darker. Select OK. Now I'm going to select the pen tool. Go ahead, highlight this over here in the corner. Control minus to zoom out. Go ahead and hit MM. Feather this out a little bit. Now select that layer, duplicate it, hit M for the mask, select it, delete. Go ahead and hide that. Now what I'm going to do is create another vignette. So I think that'll be cool. MM, go ahead and feather that one out. Expand that inward a little bit, feather some more. And for that older mask, I'll expand it Feather. Looks cool to me. Now actually what I want to do is select that bottom white solid, layers, solid settings. It's gonna make this more gray. Hit OK. And then we'll go ahead and duplicate this. Layer, solid settings. Turn that back to an off-white. Select the ellipse tool. Go right in here. Hit MM. Go ahead and feather. We'll expand inwards. Just check it out. Actually, I'm going to turn the transparency down a little bit. And to me, that looks good. So, just for the sake of organizing a little bit, go layer, with all those layers selected, pre-compose, VIG, short for vignettes. And then we'll go ahead and drop down our stills. To me, they're a little not as dark as they could be. So if that camera body selected, I go to effects, color correction, curves, crushed it down a little bit. I think that looks good right there. I'll select that, edit, copy, select these two wheels, edit, paste. Sorry you can't see it, but it is there. And then we'll go ahead and move the wheels into position. That looks good to me. Then we'll go ahead and add a little bit of rotation. So if that wheel one selected, at the very start, hit R for rotation. Go ahead and stopwatch that. We'll go to the very end. Hit end on your keyboard to get there. It's rotated about 6 times. Check that out really quick. Looks good. And you can see I'm spaced a little bit too wide right there. That's what you get for eyeballing things sometimes. I apologize, but you know that can be fixed. And you just save over the file and it automatically update. Go to the second wheel. Go to the beginning. Hit R for rotation. Stopwatch it. Go to the end. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this one about 3.5 times to see how that looks. That looks good to me. We are aligned to go with that, and now we're going to go ahead and add some fonts. So, click the text tool. I'm just going to go ahead and bring up the title save action margins so I know where I'm at. And the font I'm going to be using, it's called, I think it's called Bisteca. Yeah, Bisteca. And I just went to abstractfonts.com and I found it over there. I'm pretty sure you can go over there and download it. It won't cost you anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and write AE Tuts plus Films. Control A. Let's go up to about 55. Yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, maybe 60. Just drop it down. I'm just gonna spread it out because it's just like too squashed. Control A. Back to 55. That's cool. Now what I'll do is I'll just duplicate that. Go up like so. Control T for the text tool. Control A to highlight all. Put AN for N. And Control A. Let's do that about 40 for the size. Doesn't look too bad. Duplicate. Let's drop that below. Ooh, I never know you could get rulers on After Effects. Imagine that. And then we'll go ahead for right here, we'll write presentation. That looks good. Drop it down slightly. I'm just going to widen it. Alright, go ahead and select all those. Layer, pre-compose, font. We're actually going to call that Fonto1. Now we need to go back to Photoshop really quick so we can go ahead and create another font. Alright, so back in Photoshop, we're going to go to File, New, Film and Video, NTSC DV 720 by 480. Click OK. And what we're going to do is get the font or the text tool, click, and the font we're going to be using is called Bebas. Yeah, that's it. And you can actually get this font at abstractfonts.com. So what I'm going to do is write Projector, Control A to highlight everything, and I want them to overlap, so I'll go over here in the paragraph tool or the character tool and -100, and then I'm just going to scale everything up to where it fits. Looks good to me. Sorry about that. So then what I will do is I will duplicate this, and I'm just going to delete all the way into the P. And I'll go ahead and switch that color too so we can see where we're placing everything. Hide the background as well. Okay, so we got a P now. Duplicate that. Change it to an R. We'll scoot that over till it fits. That looks good. Turn that to an O, scoot it over. Alright, skipping forward in time, I went through individually making every single letter stand alone. Put them in order from top to bottom over here. Then I selected all the letters. Right click and rasterize the layers, so I just have still images now. So now what we want to do is control click the R, then click on the P, control U. It's going to make this a little bit darker. Click OK, go back to that R, zoom in and start creating some unique shadows. Hit P for the pen tool, and we're just going to loosely trace around this. Make selection. I'll put my feather to probably about like 6. Hit OK. Hit B for the brush tool. Make sure you've got black. Put my opacity to around 45%. And then you just color over. Control D. Select the P. Control U. And then turn the lightness up. And so now we're going to make a shadow on the O. So what we'll do is we'll click the O. And remember, what you want to do really is you want to click the one ahead, because if you don't, and you click this, and then basically you make it darker, and then you go back and you click this, and I'll just show you. And just you start drawing a shadow around, and you make the selection, and you hit the brush and you draw, and then deselect, and then you go back to R to brighten it up. You basically kill your shadow over here. So you want to make sure you select that, so whenever you brighten it back up, that area of selection, it won't take away that previous shadow you made, because you probably want to keep that, otherwise it was just in vain. So I'll just Control Z a bunch, Control D, still got my shadow, so I'll select that O, go back to R, Control U, make it a little dark, select OK. Go to the O again, P for the pen tool, loosely trace around. make selection, okay. B for the brush tool, draw my shadow, select the R, Control U, turn it up, okay, Control D, and basically just keep going through all those till you get the shadows you like on every single letter. So I'm going to go ahead and skip forward in time a little bit. Quick note, also take for instance this O and the T. You don't necessarily always have to do that technique, like you can just select the O and you can obviously tell where the T is going to go. So you can wean it on some, others you might want to do the curves adjustment or levels adjustment so you can better see what you're working with. You know, same thing, make selection and, you know, color it in. Okay, now that we have projector finished, I'm going to go ahead and click the text tool. I'm going to go ahead and add the, select that all, and we'll go ahead and turn this back to 0. Position it right above. Going to make it a little bit larger. I think that looks good, and we're ready to save this. So go to File, Save As, Jamiroquai, no, not that folder. Stills. I'm going to go ahead and save it as a PNG. We'll call this one the Projector. Yep. And then we'll go ahead and hop back over into After Effects. Okay, back in After Effects, go ahead and navigate to the folder where you saved that projector still. Drop it into your stills folder inside of After Effects. Now we're going to go ahead and drag and drop on top of the font, but I'm just going to go ahead and position this a little bit better, I guess I could say. I'm going to page up and put that about right here. There we go. Now I'm going to adjust it. Holding shift, grabbing the corner. I want to move it to where it looks right, in my opinion. To me, that looks good right there. So, yep, so far so good. And then we're going to go ahead and put a fade out over here. Go layer, new, solid. Go ahead and make it black. Okay. Okay. We're going to trim it. Go ahead and hit T for transparent or opacity. Mark it down to 0. Hit end to go to the very end. Turn it up. So now we got a fade out. Assuming you downloaded the files and put them in the renders folder located in the project we're working on, navigate to that folder. Renders, old school film look. We'll go ahead and drop that in renders. And it's not there. We're going to go ahead and try that again. We'll drop that in renders. And it's there twice, but we only need it once. So we're going to go ahead and drop that on top of everything. And we'll turn the blending mode to soft light. So now we got a older film look. And then what you can do is you can just Control D, duplicate that, and drag it to the end. So it keeps going. Alright. And last but not least, we need to put a wiggle to everything. So go ahead and pre-compose all this. And not the font, but just starting from the camera body down. So layer, pre-compose, we'll call it Projector. We'll hit S for scale. I'm just going to scale it to 103. P for position. Alt click. We're going to do wiggle. And I'm going to go ahead and do 3, 5. Hit enter. And that gives a wiggle right there. And you know, we're pretty much done. One other thing to probably add is layer, new, adjustment layer, effect, expression control, slider control. And then we can just click in here, delete that, pick whip to the slider control, and hit enter. And then we can manually type it in. So if we want a lot of shake, we can just type in 8. If you you want a little bit, 3. So you just have more control. I like mine at 5. And you know, that's pretty much it. Let it render away, and bam, and you've got yourself an old school film intro animation. Just make sure to add some more font at the bottom in your name, you know, whatever you want. That font is the same as the Projector font, and that's the Beavis font you can get at abstractfonts.com, along with the other one called Bisteca, I think. The background actually came from an older Alfred Hitchcock movie. I can't remember the movie right now, but just remember that reference is king. So if you have a lot to draw off of, depending on what type of shot you're trying to execute, it's always going to make for the better, at least for the majority. So I know it's a very basic tutorial, but hopefully y'all enjoyed it, and next time maybe I can come with something a lot more advanced. Until then, my name's Lyndon Alvarez. I'm here with aetuts.com, and have a nice day or night. Take care and peace.